Welcome then back to the Infinity GT Manufacturers Series Season 2. Back in the Group 4 machinery today, and we are at Alsace Village, fictional Gran Turismo circuit, as you can see on your screen. We qualified for this one, so I'll just take you through the grid in just a second, but Mr. James Harben grabs his first pole position of the season in the OP Audi. Tricky Tree in the other OP Audi lines up alongside him with a new arrival, Team BMW. LS Dano got P3 on his opening qualifying session. Nicolaitis in the Toyota P4, Mutt 36 in the VW grabs P5. Thundercat in the Subaru P6. That Subaru should get away well, so keep an eye on it. Same for Fat Pickles, Bro P7. These two should make a good start with two Audis and a VW up ahead that don't start very well. It's going to be worth keeping an eye on these boys. MG Jason in the Toyota, nice and light, should be quite suitable around this track. Path 46 in the Alpha. The Alpha's a good car, Andy, but can be a little bit skittish, so it might just be worth keeping an eye on that. KB E36 is the other BMW that partners LS Dano. He did only pull in for P10 though. And the McLarens didn't enjoy this track at all. P11 for me. Come back to me in a second. Pot P12. The Alpha's not having a great time out. They are doing well in the championship though, so they need a result. MRC Bobby P13, very controversial livery, and has 91 P14. I was suffering with horrible internet for this, so yeah, you'll see my car just all over the place, but let's get on with the show. So Alsace Village, 5 kilometers of beautiful French undulating countryside, kind of has everything this track. Hairpins, undulating corners, you name it. So the Audi's bogged down off the start, and as predicted the Subarus fly off, but LS Dano in the BMW gets an absolute screamer of a start. He's up to P1 already, being challenged by Thundercat for that P1 spot, but the BMW gets out of turn 1 ahead of everyone else. Thundercat and Fat Pickles and the Subarus line up behind. Now the Audis, P4 and 5, can put the foot down. Definitely worth keeping an eye on those Audis. They do work quite well on this track, especially in the high speed corners. The lower speed stuff not so great, as we see Tricky Tree make a move down the inside of Fat Pickles, bro. Further back's kind of all kicking off, everyone's sort of colliding together. Bobby and Pav with Nicolaitis trying to get in on the action. I'm at the back with Has 91. I had a bad start, so I was right down at the back. Looks like Nicolaitis was going to go for a move there. Him and Bobby collided. It's all getting very bumpy. Nicolaitis just put Bobby off the track there. And there's a BMW off. That's a BMW belonging to KB36. He's off the track. Oh, I remember what happened there. I hit him. We'll go back and have a look, because it needs explaining. Basically, I didn't anticipate KB braking as early as he did. That's all. I tried to get out of the way, but there was no room. So I move around the corner where it's safe and just wait. And let him overtake me. So sorry about that if you're watching KB, that was not intentional, as you can see. Right, continuing on. Two Toyotas at risk of battling each other, Nicolaitis and MG Jason. Bobby's trying to make a move on Potter. We will go and check in on the top in just a second. But for the time being, yeah, Bobby is ahead of Potter. Path 46 in 7th, trying to keep in touch with the top pack. Mutt 36 just at the back of that. James Harben started on pole, down to P5 already. That's the disadvantage of being in an Audi. It does not start well. Pickles and Thundercat teaming up quite well so far, but early days anyway. As we come towards the end of lap 1, it looks like it might be a 2-horse race at the front between Tricky Tree and LS Dano. The BMW does work quite well as an all-rounder, but I think the Audis are going to trump it on pure pace. The BMW should hold on to its tyres a little bit better though, but we'll see how that progresses during the race as everyone completes the first lap at Alsace Village. LS Dano leads the way. Still quite tight at the top. 3 manufacturers battling for the top 3 spaces, which is really good to see. We've got a BMW, we've got an Audi, and we've got a Subaru. So currently it's Germany leading the charge. 2 by 2 to go. Only one can make it ahead though into the corner. Tricky Tree's going to make it down the inside, and he gets that move made. LS Deno didn't put up too much of a fight for that one. Kind of knew the Audi would have had the pace, I think, and just lived to fight another day. So that's LS Deno back down to P2. Thundercat's looking to get a move made, but LS Deno is going to have the inside line for this 90-degree right-hander, and just sort of makes Thundercat have to go wide. Thundercat does have good lateral grip in that Subaru, so he's just able to hang in there really. And the next corner is a left-hander, so if Thundercat can just keep his nose in here, he's gonna have that move made. LS Deno going for the wide line, really well driven by both these guys, and because LS Deno was on the outside, Thundercat had to give him room, and rather than take the full width of the track, just had to peel off a little bit of speed, and he remains in P3. A little bit further back, Mult 36, Pav still as they were, Nicolaitis, Jason as they were, Bobby into P10. Big gap then back to Haz 91. KB, Podham at Potter, who had an off a lap ago at this corner. The Alfa Romeo didn't like breaking into it, and it just broke traction under him, and off he went. He got out ahead of me though. I'm not having a very good day at all, because I've obviously had to wait for KB. I'm miles away, but you'll see with my car it's lagging all over the shop in fits and starts. So yeah, not a good race for the McLarens so far. The other McLaren in its controversial livery in P10. So Bobby did have that bit of a collision with Nicolaitis earlier on in the race, and Nicolaitis a couple of spaces up now, trying to put the pressure on the Alfa. Meanwhile, Fat Pickles Bro and James Harbin, as James trying to get that move back on him. James is able to slide up the inside, and that's Audi back through into P4. So James putting up a good fight today. The Audi is a good car as long as it holds onto its tyres. He's taking the soft today, which is the slightly firmer than the optimal tyre, but it should hang on a little bit longer. Thundercat's gone for the same strategy. Deno is on the very sticky super soft tyres, and Tricky Tree's gone for a little bit of a hybrid, so he's got the soft tyres on the front and the super soft on the back. He's obviously tried and tested that method before. I mean, on Mult 36 then in the Cars themed VW, trying to sneak in on the action. Swako's a quick car in a straight line, but does suffer with a lot of understeer, a lot of weight over that front axle that's just not being dealt with anywhere else. He's not going to be in a position to make a move here, sort of keeps his nose out. Fat Pickles does go deep though. Mutt tries to get on the power as early as possible, but Pickles is just able to keep his nose ahead. So no change there so far. Pav 46 and Nicolaitis getting very close. Pav is pulling the back of Mutt in though. So 7th and 8th for now in this fight. Mutt from that angle looked to go very deep, but it's pretty much 4 cars in a row. Nicolaitis is looking for a way through. Did he get a better run out of that corner than Pav? I think he did. He's going to be ahead before the corner, Nicolaitis, so that's him up to P7. The 86, not the best straight line car, but it's very, very grippy. So he should be able to get a lot of his moves made in the corners, of which there are plenty of them here. Well, there has been an accident we haven't covered. We'll go and cover it because it's pivotal to the race outcome. So, well, I say the race outcome, my race outcome. So we'll go on my POV. So I'm following Potter around. I did manage to catch him up. I'm in the McLaren. I've got to my chase cam actually. This is a lag spike there. Now whether it was my lag spike or Potter's lag spike doesn't really matter. Potter's ended up in the dirt. I didn't hear or feel any contact at the time. As far as I was concerned, there was tons of room. And as far as I was concerned at the time, Potter made the mistake all by himself. But obviously, from reviewing it after the race, there was a lag spike between me and Potter, so he ended up in the grass. What then happened is I did put a little message in the sort of racer chat that we have, which comes up on screen when you're racing. We try and avoid it during the race where possible, but Pot obviously felt that I whacked him off. I'm sure he'd like me to whack him off, but not in that sense. Yeah, and he just put a message up asking me to wait. I was in a bit of a bad mood anyway, yeah, you just see what happens to me in just a moment. I do a classic rage quit. So then we're going to be down to 13 drivers in just a second, as the second McLaren decides enough's enough, and you'll see the moment when the message pops up on screen because I touched the grass. And yeah, that was my race, pretty much done and dusted. It's still very close between everyone else. We're only 7 minutes into this race, so there's a lot of time left to go. Alsace is a very tyre-hard circuit. So like the Audis, for example, there you go. The Audis, for example, will struggle. And there we go. And that is one McLaren done and dusted. Back to the top then. Still very close between these guys. James Harben has entered the building as well. He's into P4. Just put his fastest lap of the race in, and the fastest lap. 2 minutes. Pretty much dead on. The top three in terms of pace, very close. You can see how hard James Harben's pushing. He's pretty much lawnmower in that Audi, just to keep in the slipstream of the guys ahead. Deno and Thundercat absolutely battling it out as we finalise lap 4. Thundercat does seem to have the grip and traction edge over Deno, but Deno's just putting his car in the right places at the right time, making it very hard for him to get anything near him. If I'm going to try around the outside, that's going to be a very hard move to pull off. Deno gives him the room. Good racing between these two guys. The outside there turns to the inside for what is effectively turn 2. So if Thundercat can get the overspeed, he should be okay. If he can get back over to the left to defend it. He leaves the door open for Deno to make a move down the inside, but he chooses not to do so. So it's Thundercat in P2. Tricky Tree hasn't managed to escape how I probably would have thought he would. He had a bit of a poor lap last time round, a 2:01, which compared to the... I mean, he wasn't that slow to be fair, but it's a couple of attempts off what he'd like to have been doing at that time. The guys behind him were going quicker. As the top 4 start to make a breakaway, Mutt 36 in P5, he's doing a good job so far. Nicolai is P6, Fat Pickles by P7, he's fallen from grace a little bit. 2:02 laps Fat Picklesbow, so he might be trying to do the old fuel saving strategy here and trying to pull the wool over everyone's eyes. He tends to do that. He's a bit of a cheeky so-and-so. He's on team chat saying that he's not going to do a no-stop, and then he does a no-stop, so he always manages to pull a good strategy from somewhere. Pav 46 P8 in the Alpha, they're looking for maximum points from this weekend's races. MRC Bobby and McLaren will have seen the demise of the sister McLaren and knows he's fighting a single battle here against the rampaging BMW driven by E36. Bobby just defends that one on the inside. E36 has to take evading action almost, and it's looking for a little bit of a fight in the not last challenge then between these guys. Has that one currently losing that battle. You can see the tyre wear on that. Yeah, you can see the tyre wear on that Volkswagen already taking effect. Let's check in a little bit further up. That's this fight at the top that Nicolaitis is just reeling up to now. This fight at the top's really starting to heat up. The top 6 separated by, well, nothing basically, as Deno and Thundercat continue to go at it. Deno this time gets the slipstream going up the hill. This time the BMW does defend into turn 3. And that's going to make Thundercat's life a little bit difficult. You can see how close everyone is. We're only a third of the way into this race so far. Pit stops have yet to happen. A lot of people will pit in this one because you don't lose a ton of time in the pits. And the tyre deg is quite high, so it's well worth strapping on a new set of sticky rubber. Tricky Tree in the Audi then is going to start really struggling with tyre wear, and Deno behind him, and even Thundercat to a degree just look like they're in the ascendancy, and this is the part of the race where they've got maximum traction. Well, not maximum, but certainly better than the cars ahead. So this battle at the front, which is some 8 cars deep, shows no signs of letting up as Deno tries to drive around the outside. That just proves the traction difference between these cars, and he's going to get that done. Is Thundercat going to be able to join in the action as well? No, because the next turn's a right-hander, and Deno's having to go the long way around. Tricky Tree's technically back ahead, but Deno will get that place straight back again. The Audi compromised on the exit of the corner. Tricky Tree falls technically down to P3, but he's going to have the inside line for the hairpin, so he's going to keep that spot at least at this point. Can Thundercat keep it on the inside? No, he tucks back in, so Deno does come out victorious on that, but Nicolaides looking very punchy as we approach the pit stop phase, and 14 minutes have elapsed. Drivers looking to do the undercut will probably pit round about now. There is a big gap for these guys to fall into, so it might make sense for some of them to pit, especially the Audis. Tricky Tree though opts to stay out. Only Mutt, Jason and Pickles choose to pit. So keep an eye on Pickles. He saved a ton of fuel, so he won't be in that pit box very long at all. He came in with 55% fuel, over half a tank, so he probably won't need to put any more in. But there have been at least 6 cars that have opted to stay out. The last of which is Pav 46 in the Alfa Romeos. Nicolaides and James Harben battle away. James though sticking it to the Toyota driver. Not letting him get away easy, but you can tell James's tyres are screaming out in agony. Whereas Nicolaides is relatively in good shape. He's got plenty of tyres left on that car. Tricky Tree, after getting passed by Deno, has started to fall back a little bit. He's just really suffering with grip now. Thundercat's able to make a move past as well. Tricky Tree's going to have to rethink his approach in the second half of the race, because he's really quick for the first 10 minutes and then it does really fall away, and it falls away quite quickly for the Audis. He's going to have to rethink his approach. He's under pressure from Nicolaides now, the Toyota driver, really showing signs of getting past the Audi, coming towards the end of lap 8. Tricky Tree though is not going to make that easy. Dives towards the apex. Nicolaides has got nowhere to go, so has to back out of the move. Moving further up, we've got Deno, Thundercat. Do these guys pit this lap, or do they try and extend the gaps that were there for them to pit into? Have kind of gone now. The overcut strategy some of these might be going for might not quite work how they expected it to. Most of these guys are going to pit. Deno does. Tricky Tree, yeah, most of these guys peel off. Only Nicolaides and Thundercat continue on their quest. Fat Pickles Bro then. P3 on the road for Fat Pickles Bro, but this is a net P1. The 2 cars ahead have yet to pit, and he's going to reel those guys in quite quickly. LS Deno though does come out not too far behind Pickles, so this could be an evolving story. Subaru versus BMW. Mutt 36 in a net P3 now after his pit stops, having a really good race. Mutt of course at the centre of some controversy following last week's race at Fuji, but was definitely his act together for this one and is driving splendidly. James Harben on some fresh tyres. I can now start to put the charge down. He's showing he's got pace at this track. Has James qualified on pole position, running P6 at the minute, but there is time left in the race to change his fortunes. Tricky Tree out in P8. He's took on some fuel as Tricky Tree's dropped him down the order a little bit. He's obviously come out in traffic and stuff as well. KB in the sister BMW P10 for that car at the minute. Considering the other car's running a net P2, probably disappointed with his debut race. Speaking of which, let's go and check in on how they're doing. So no issues getting the tyres warmed up for these guys. They're posting personal best sectors already. Let's see if Nicolaitis and Thundercat opt to pit this lap. I would imagine they'd be pretty silly if they didn't. They're getting fuel critical now. With under quarter of a tank remaining in both cars. Thundercat, his body language is going in the pits. Nicolaitis is too. That Toyota's taking a beat in this race. So Fat Pickles comes through to take the lead of the race, but closely followed with firm attention from LS Dano in the BMW. A couple of seconds behind him is Mutt36. He won't be getting the slipstream of the cars ahead, I don't think, but he has just posted his fastest lap of the race and the fastest lap of the race so far, 2.4. James Harbin then out with no one really behind him to trouble him, but he's got quite a big gap to the guys ahead, so he's really got to put his foot down right now and hopefully get squabbling in the last 10 minutes. Big fight kicking off back here for 5th between Thundercat and Tricky Tree. These guys have been dueling already so far this race. A little bit further behind them, NG Jason, Nicolaitis and Pav. Nicolaitis come out of the pits obviously into traffic and behind his teammate, so his teammate technically undercut him, and the two Toyotas will want to try and work together in this race. Bobby is just sat in the pits, not doing an awful lot. Oh, Dano's got past. Where did that happen? Let's have a look at where that happened. Sorry, I don't normally like skipping back, but this could be critical for the race. So does Pickles just get it a little bit wrong? Yeah, I think he did. I think he got it a bit unsettled on the entry, and it just affected the balance of the car. Then I was just able to slide one up the inside, and up the BMW driver goes to P1 then with 10 minutes remaining, but he's gonna have Fat Pickles Bro chasing him down. Pickles can have the benefit of slipstream just to keep up with that BMW. Mutt36 watching all this go off ahead with glee. He's going to hope those guys continue to fight. The more they fight, the more it helps them out. James Harbin's hoping to reel Mutt in, at least towards the end of the race, so he wants to get himself on the podium here, does James. We hope he does as well. Nicolaitis has got past his teammate. Maybe that was a Fernando is faster than you, but at the minute Nicolaitis was just cutting a little bit of grass there, but the Toyota team have let the Greek through into P7 in order to put some pressure on the Audi ahead. Nicolaitis will want to put some pressure on Tricky Tree. He knows that once his tyres go he can affect him. So while the Audi's... Oh, and Nicolaitis is on an accident. Let's have a look. He's getting very sideways already, and he just dropped it. I tell you what, Jason did very well to get out of his way there. Just go on board with Jason. Jason's worried about an Alfa Romeo behind him, but the real threat is ahead. Nicolaitis can see the parts of his cars all along. That Toyota does like to slide about. He just catches the curb there, unsettles the car, and off he goes into the barrier. So that is Nicolaitis not out of the race, but it's certainly going to be quite far back by the time that has sorted itself out. Tricky Tree, fastest man on track at the minute, just beats Mutt's previous fastest lap by a tenth of a second. So he's chasing down Thundercat. Thundercat is trying to keep up with James Harbin up ahead. James is on a charge at the minute. He's just put in his personal best lap. He's chasing Mutt36. Mutt isn't getting any slipstream from the cars ahead now. You can tell that with his times. He's 6 times slower that lap than he was the lap before. Pickles and Deno still sort of fighting together. Both have been running around about as quickly as they have ever been. About 8 minutes left of this one. Plenty could happen yet. So while he was looking ahead, he should have been looking behind. Thundercat's been the fastest guy around this circuit. He's put in a 1:59.7, which is nearly half a second quicker than anyone else has gone so far this race, and he is on a charge. Him and James have been getting increasingly closer. It's coming to a crescendo now. James was focusing on catching Mutt up ahead, and these two guys might still do that. The Mutt's not too far ahead, there's still plenty of time left, and well, they don't want to waste too much time scrapping with each other. So whatever dispute they've got, they need to resolve it quick if they're to catch the VW ahead and get at least one of them on the podium. Mutt at the minute driving a pretty solid race, pretty consistently in the 201s. James and Thundercat continuing to fight. That's going to continue to cost them temps around this circuit. And to go side by side. So we're going to get some set times in a moment, and that'll tell us just how much time this is costing them. Yes, Thundercat 1.5 seconds slower this lap. Pretty much all because of this fighting he's doing with James, and Mutt's not far away ahead. Mutt will now start to feel a little bit of tyre wear kicking in. James is probably the worst for that at the minute. His tyres are, well, they're dead again. Bono's tyres are gone. I mean, on top, Ellis Deno's still leading away. Very close though between him and Fat Pickles, bro. These guys posting ridiculously similar times. It's a very good racing at the top of the table. Mutt 36 holding third at the minute, but he's coming under increased pressure from the guys behind. Somewhat nicely for Mutt though, these guys are scrapping away. And James and Thundercat having a good old battle for that P4 spot. If they work together for a lap or two, they could definitely catch up with Mutt. And turn it into a 3-car race for that final podium position. Oh, James Hammer's running wide. He's murdered the cameraman. And the cameraman now had enough health left to flip the camera around before he keeled over and died. So James guilty of second degree murder and now down to P5. Can Thundercat then catch Mutt 36? There's a view back from the Volkswagen. That Subaru behind will be becoming increasingly larger in his rearview mirror over the course of the next lap or so. We're doing 2 minutes a lap. We're at 28 minutes now, so we'll get one more lap in after this. So Thundercat's running out of time if he's going to get himself on the podium. James is kind of out of that fight now, I'm afraid. Tricky Trees not too far behind him. Path 46 in P7. MG Jason doing a good job in P8 in that Toyota that doesn't like it's behaving at this course at all. The short wheelbase won't be helping the Alphas and the Toyotas. The undulating track just means that they're very unstable by nature. KB's up to P9 with Nicolaides' incident, and has 91 in the other Volkswagen. P11 for Has at the minute. Top two still battling it out. I think the fight to watch though is here for P3. It's the last lap duel between Mutt 36 and Thundercat. Who's going to come out victorious? I'd like to keep an eye on this. Thundercat goes for the cutback move almost. It's a straight drag up the hill. Very strange flower behaviour there. Thundercat gets a nose ahead coming into turn 4. Nice and sharply on the brakes. Nicely controlled by Thundercat. Mutt does manage to hold him though. So these two scrapping away for the final podium position, currently held by Thundercat. Mutt's not going to let that go easily though. So Thundercat's going to have to think defensively for this last part of the lap. about a minute or so's worth of racing to go for these guys. Plenty of opportunities to make mistakes if they need it. Let's have a quick flick back, make sure we're not missing anything else. There's not a ton going on. Jason, oh, KB's past Jason. So KB's got himself up to 7th place, so a final resurgence from the BMW driver. Pav 46 has got major damage. What happened to Pav? Did Pav just drop? So Pav was battling with Jason. Oh, let's have a look at this. I'm not sure what happened. So they're both following Tricky Tree down. You see KB in the background there in P9. Jason, Pav really widens his corner and Jason goes for it. Obviously the gap is there. Pav just loses control on the inside. And he's not got engine damage right now. I'm not too sure how he gets that. He comes back onto the track. Oh, and he gets a smash from Nicolaitis. That's how he gets it. Nicolaitis weirdly comes out of that with no damage. Quite strange. So Jason up to P8, KB P7 then. Minimal fuel for KB though, but he should be okay. Mutt 36 v Thundercat has calmed down slightly. They're not wheel to wheel like they were. We'll just keep an eye on this as we come towards the end of the lap then. LS Deno, a great debut race from him so far. Just a couple of corners to negotiate. Ahead of the Subaru driver driven by Fat Pickles, bro. He is on minimal fuel, but so is Pickles. They should be okay though, to the line. As the drivers come down the hill for the last time, one big break is out to go, but both look like they get on that quite nicely, hooking up their apexes as you would expect, but a very close finish for the first race in week 4. Yeah, week 4 or 3, I can't remember. LS Deno takes the win then in his debut race. Great result for the BMW driver, Fat Pickles, bro. Thundercat for Subaru 2-3. Mutt 36 probably disappointed in the outcome of that one. P4 for him though. He'll be happy with the points. James Harben from pole to P5. A resilient fight from the Audi driver, but just a difficult race. And there's the order as you see it. Tricky Tree P6, KB P7 in the end. And Nicolaitis P8, has 91 P9. And Pav and Jason just swapping positions at the line. Bit of sportsmanship going on there. And Bobby's finally out, doing his ceremony lap. But big congratulations to LS Deno for taking his first win in the BMW M4.